All right, I want to get straight into this. I want to bring in somebody to talk about the SABC's planned Section 189 retrenchment processes and the meeting the SABC board is expected to have with Parliament's Portfolio Committee. So on the line, we are joined by the SABC's board deputy chairperson, Mamodupi Mohlala. Mamodupi Mohlala, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Good morning, Glenn, and good morning to your listeners this morning.
The SABC news staff yesterday, as you no doubt saw, took a stand against management during a heated meeting after some staff received these redundancy letters. You saw the group executive of news, Patiswa Magopeni, telling that meeting that she could no longer continue issuing letters of redundancy under the current climate. Is the process of retrenchments going ahead?
Blaine, you see, this whole process of Section 189 is a process that has been discussed by the board at several levels, and we've been having many discussions not only at the board level, but we've been having discussions with the Portfolio Committee. We've also had discussions as recent as yesterday, with both the minister, the deputy minister, and the acting DG, whereby the board has clearly indicated that there are some people on the board who do not agree with the Section 189 process. And we've been at great pains to actually explain that the Section 189 process is a process that will have the effect of taking the SABC backwards instead of forwards.
So do you agree with the Section 189 process?
No, we do not. And there are many of us on the board who do not agree with the Section 189 process. It's just that, unfortunately, there are some who have been pushing the Section 189 process and have been pushing it very vigorously. We have, as I've already indicated, there have been engagements on the board whereby we have actually indicated that the Section 189 process will have a detrimental effect on the turnaround strategy that the SABC wants to implement. Because at the end of the day, if we are going to turn around the SABC that has recently received a bailout, we need the staff of the SABC in order to achieve the objectives that we want to achieve. And if people are receiving retrenchment letters, that immediately has an impact on their morale and their ability to deliver. So we are saying, if there is going to be any action that is taken in relation to staff or staff cuts, there needs to be a proper process of engagement with not only the staff members, but with the unions and all involved stakeholders. So that at the end of the day, we end up with a win-win solution, as opposed to a solution where people feel disheartened, people feel attacked, people feel unhappy and feel demoralized. And us watching what was happening on TV yesterday in relation to the interactions in the newsroom really brought it to the fore that it was time for those of us on the board who do not agree with the Section 189, it is time for us to now speak out and say, there mustn't be a perception out there that we are all unanimous on this matter. We are not. We feel that there needs to be proper engagement. And we are hearing what the staff members of the SABC are saying, and we believe that it is important that we go back to the drawing board and reconsider the approach that is being presented to the staff.
The hurt on the staff, it's palpable. You can see it in their eyes. It's, the tears that are streaming down people's faces here at the SABC. It's not an exaggeration. I'm not being hyperbolic. This is the reality, and you've seen it for yourself. I want to get a sense of the state of play here, ma'am, with regards to this board and how divided is the board with regards to moving forward, with regards to the retrenchment processes. Give us some numbers here in terms of how many support it, how many are against it.
Yeah, Blaine, what I think is critical, and I'll come back to the issue that you're raising. What I think is very critical here is for people to understand that we are not sitting there as the board and oblivious to these issues that are happening on the ground. We feel the pain, we understand the issues, we understand the challenges. The economy is in a very bad state. For people now to be expected to face the prospect of losing employment, some have been in this employment for a very long period of time. We are also losing expertise, which we cannot afford to lose at this point in time, because we are going through a turnaround and we want SABC to have an upward turn. I mean, as recent as yesterday, we posted losses as the SABC, losses of over about 500 million. Now, we need a stable institution in order to make sure we make gains where we've actually experienced losses. But how will that be achieved if people are frustrated, people are unhappy, and as you rightly put it, people are teary-eyed? And that is why we are saying we are there, and we've been appointed by Parliament and the President in order to make sure we protect the public interest. How then are we protecting the public interest if when a very critical stakeholder of ours, who is our employees, is speaking to us and we're not listening? We need to listen. And I really believe that with further engagement, even at our board level again today, because we are going to be expected to go and present our position to Parliament during the course of today,
right.
And we would have to have a board meeting to discuss it. I do believe that people's positions may change somewhat after the interactions in the newsroom that we experienced yesterday, because we really now need to listen to what the staff of the SABC are saying, and we need to interact. And we need to interact at all the right levels in order to make sure, as I've already said, we have a win-win solution. We have an institution that is viable, that does not request another bailout,
right.
But over and above that, we have a profitable and productive workforce.
So talk to us about the board and how divided it is with regards to this.
Look, as I've said, there are those of us on the board who hold the view that 189 should not go ahead.
How many, ma'am?
But
How
obviously,
many?
as it
Is it
we
majority?
are talking about figures. No, we are actually, obviously, it is the minority on the board that holds this view. The majority of the board members obviously hold the view that the 189 process must go ahead. But as I've said, I do believe with further interactions, especially after yesterday's experience, because now I think people are now going to put a human face to this process, because after the interactions in the newsroom yesterday, we now begin to see that really this is actually has a human face, and a very perturbed human face. Then I think people will have to now start reconsidering their position in relation to the matter, and we will have to start looking at different options. And I want to also indicate that at our last board meeting, there was an indication from the Human Resource Division that there are other options that can be explored other than the 189 process in order to resolve this impasse that we have with Labour on the matter.
Right.
So I do believe in the course of the discussions this afternoon, this issue will be put on the table and we'll have a full engagement, and I'm hopeful that we'll come out with a better outcome. But as I've already, just to speak to you in relation to the numbers, there are 5 board members that are completely against this issue of the Section 189.
5 board members?
Yes.
Correct.
And I do believe that the numbers are increasing in relation to that.
All right, 5 board members opposed to this. You say the numbers are increasing. Are you all likely to talk about those 13 or so people that were dismissed from the SABC? What's the conversations around that? What's your take on that?
Look, I think I kind of obviously anticipate what the discussions will be, but I do believe that we will have to speak to all these issues, because at the end of the day, these are all human resource issues, and as I've already indicated, we need to keep our staff morale high so that we can obviously continue to be productive and continue as an institution to deliver in terms of our mandate. But I do believe we will have a holistic discussion on all the human resource issues, especially issues around the issue of costs and the number of cases that are currently before the courts, before the CCMA. So we will have a full discussion on all the issues all round. But at the top of the agenda will obviously be the immediate issue of Section 189.
Did you meet with the Communication Minister last night?
Yes, we had a meeting with the Minister of Communications. The Deputy Minister was also in the meeting, and we had the acting DG was in the meeting, and a full complement of the SABC board also attended the meeting.
What came out of that meeting?
Well, I believe that it was obviously that we need to prepare for Parliament today, and we need to obviously look at different options that can be put on the table in relation to how we deal with the staff concerns that have been raised by the newsroom. So we will be exploring the different options, and these will then be expected to be presented to the Portfolio Committee during the course of today.
We have heard that the SABC has described what happened yesterday as an unfortunate incident that took place in the news division. Would you describe it? Would you categorize it like that? Unfortunate incident?
Definitely not. I think that it has been a long time coming. We have been dealing with these issues around Section 189, even in the previous board, this issue was on the table. And it has been shown that this issue not only has a very severe impact in relation to the staff of the SABC, but it also has an impact with regards to the workings of the board. It divided the previous board, and even now, this issue is forming a real it's forming a real problematic, is causing a lot of problems with regard to the board and the workings of the board. And I really believe that in an institution like SABC, yes, there are issues around cost. Yes, there's a turnaround that needs to be implemented. But there are many ways in which it can be implemented in a more humane way, in a way in which we accept that we are dealing with people and people's livelihood. We are not just dealing with mechanics, and we're not just dealing with computers. So the situation in the newsroom that occurred yesterday was a long time coming, because of the way in which things have been dealt with. And we at the board level have been at great pains, as I've already indicated, to explain and to convince our colleagues that this is not the right approach. There are many other ways in which we can achieve certain objectives of turning around the institution without necessarily looking at retrenching people in the manner in which the board is adopting.
There's something in the business called a blackout, black on air. You worry about that here at the SABC?
I definitely worry about it. It's a very big concern for me. And that is why I and I believe my colleagues have taken the stance that we've taken on this matter. Those of us who are obviously against the 189 have taken the stance that we've taken because we do not want a blackout at SABC. And I mean, in view of the fact that yesterday we posted negative results in relation to the growth of the institution, that in itself, coupled with a blackout, will really spiral us down a wrong path. And we don't want that to happen, because at the end of the day, everybody loses. The SABC loses, the staff of the SABC loses, the board of the SABC loses. So we, and the executive itself, so we need to find an amicable resolution to this matter. And we still believe that it is still possible. And again, I will go back to the issue of we need a win-win solution to this matter.
You say there are 5 board members and counting that are against these retrenchments. How vocal will they be today, this evening, when you appear before Parliament's Portfolio Committee?
Well, we will obviously state our case, as we've been stating our case, and we will continue to state our case. We also stated our case yesterday in the presence of the Minister and the Deputy Minister. We will obviously state our case when we get to the Portfolio Committee, when we are asked to actually deal with specific issues. And that is why, Blaine, that we have now taken the step of saying we now need to speak out, because we have been in the background through the right protocols in board meetings, been speaking to this matter over and over again. But then statements are sent out, and they're sent out in our name, and we want to put the record straight that this is not the position that is held by 100% of the board. There are those on the board who hold a different view on the matter. That is why we have decided to speak out, and we have absolutely no problem with speaking out wherever we need to speak out, because it is in the nature of democracy that at the end of the day, if one holds a different view, they must be allowed to actually express their view.
Mamodupi Mohlala, we thank you very much indeed for your time. Please do come back to us and talk to us about what transpires during this afternoon's Portfolio Committee meeting. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. That was SABC Board Deputy Chairperson Mamodupi Mohlala there, giving her take with regards to saying that at least 5 board members are against these retrenchments here at the SABC. No doubt we'll follow up on that and this meeting with the Portfolio Committee today. The external radio service of the